From 12-Man Studios in the south end zone of Kyle Field, it's another edition of Higgins Hindsights. I'm Jacob Erskine, and I'm joined with the man himself, head coach JT Higgins. Coach, thanks for coming out this afternoon.
It's great to be here. Thanks, Jake.
Well, Coach, closing out the 2015 fall season at the Gifford Collegiate in Carlsbad, California, an 11th place finish, not necessarily the desired result, but what can you take away from that tournament? What are some things that you saw that you need to work on?
Well, first of all, it wasn't a very good showing for us. We're well aware of that, and I don't think our players would use any kind of excuses whatsoever. But I do think that we did a poor job of scheduling. Coming off the trip to Ireland, we were gone for 8 days. Got home, had a 3-round qualifier in the 5 days we were home. Traveled back out to the West Coast, and then tried to play a tournament against a quality field. We really looked tired is how I thought we looked the last 2 days, and we played it. It was very sloppy, just really uncharacteristic play out of our guys that we don't usually see. So I take a little bit of the heat for that. I don't think I did a very good job of scheduling. 8 time zones in a week, and I think 13 rounds of golf in 17 days was a little bit much. So, looking forward to the future, it will be another 4 years before we go international again. But next time it'll either be at the very beginning or that'll be the very last tournament. I don't think we'll ever play a tournament after that again.
The field, you mentioned the field itself at the Gifford Collegiate. 9 teams in the nation's top 50 were in that 15-team field. A lot of elite talent, Texas A&M included. Can you speak to how cool that experience was to play in a tournament of that caliber?
Well, that's usually the kind of tournaments we play in, to be honest. We are usually trying to play against the best competition at the best venues that we possibly can. We feel like to be the best, you have to play the best, and you have to beat the best. We have to get better at that. We're still beating the teams for the most part that we're supposed to beat. We're not really as competitive with the top teams in the nation yet. I think we will be in the spring. I really do. I think that we have a team that going forward is going to get healthy, is going to be able to compete at the highest levels of college golf, and so we're excited about that. But the teams in that field, especially the West Coast teams, when you look at Stanford and Oregon, UCLA. Gosh, who else was there? I'm losing track of all
Colorado. A lot of Pac-12 schools.
Sure, Colorado. They actually played really well. It was just a really strong field, and there was actually some other schools from the Midwest too.
Big Ten, Wisconsin was there.
Northwestern had some other schools, so it was really strong and really competitive, and that's what we want to see. And we wish we would have performed a little bit better, but it still gave our guys a really good idea of what they're going to see, especially postseason. When you start talking about regionals and nationals, you're going to have to really be able to compete with teams like that.
Tournament played on the La Costa Legends course, a beautiful golf course nonetheless, but the greens extremely fast, and you had to contend with a different type of grass. I think it was Kikoya grass.
Yep, that's right.
Something unique. How did that really affect the way that tournament was played, the way our players had to adapt?
So when you play on Kikoya, it's only on the West Coast, so you don't see it very often, and really even on the West Coast it's pretty rare. Our guys did a pretty good job, especially in the first round, dealing with it, and we shot a decent score. After that, we really got careless and a little sloppy with it. You have to get the ball on the green out of the Kikoya. You have to hit sort of an explosion shot. You have to accelerate through the grass. It grabs your club. And if you don't, then you leave your ball short. There's really not a lot of places on that golf course to make a big number, to make a double or a triple bogey. There's a little bit of water, but if you're playing smart, it's really not in play. So the way that you make doubles on that golf course is that you don't get when you miss a green, you don't get the chip onto the green, and then you'd get it up and down for double instead of for bogey, or trying to get it up and down for bogey, and if you don't, then you make double. So that's where the separation comes from. The teams that handle that grass better and actually get the ball on the green and give themselves a chance to save par, those doubles turn into bogeys, or those bogeys turn into pars. And we did a really poor job of that. I thought our short game was severely lacking this week, and that's something we're going to work on in the off season. The greens were great; they were perfect. They were fast, which is fine if you're a good putting team, and we are. Then that doesn't cause any problems for you, unless you get above the hole. One of the funny things I think about Texas kids, and I always hesitate going out to the West Coast with them, is I don't think they understand gravity. If you're going up a hill that has a slope that adds 7 to 10 yards on the shot going up the hill, you have to realize if you're behind the hole coming down, that is a pretty steep incline, and that putt might be a little faster than what you were anticipating. So
physics, right? It's crazy.
It is. We're used to flat, and so we struggle with that a little bit. We had a lot of putts run way by, and then missed them coming back. That's as you were there, so you saw that there's only about 6 of the holes on the course were that way, where you got up into the hills of the golf course. The rest of it was relatively flat, and when you got the faster greens on a flat surface, we seemed to excel and did okay. But downhill putts got us a little bit when we got into the first 6 holes of the golf course. We struggled a little bit with, but they were soft. I thought it was really scoreable, and we didn't score well at all. So that part was disappointing. But at the same time, I do think that the team learned a lot, and they're going to keep getting better.
About a 3-month lull in the action before your all's first tournament in the spring in Florida. This 3-month kind of off-season, I guess you could say, or intermission, what is the process that these players take to make sure that their game is sharp and to even improve upon their games and their performances in the fall?
Well, I think everyone's going to take a little break, at least a week or two. Most of these guys have been going for 9 months, 10 months straight. We started in January with our college season. You get done in May or June. And then you go through amateur golf all summer, and then you come back and you start the fall season for college golf again. So they need a break. They're tired, and they need that. But we're hitting the weight room hard. Believe it or not, golfers do lift weights, and we got to get stronger. We've got some young guys that really need to add some strength just to add some distance off the tee, but they also need it for when you get a place like La Costa that had the Kikoya grass that you have to accelerate through. If you're not strong and you can't come into those balls steep, then you're going to have a hard time out of the rough. And it's basically a one-shot penalty. And so we need guys that are big enough and strong enough that they can advance that ball and get it up near the green. And so they're hitting it hard already. They started on Friday, getting after it pretty good in the weight room. And so that part's going to be part of it. And then the other part will be really working hard on any changes that they want to make, fundamental changes, whether it's swing plane or grip, those kind of things, or anything that they want to change in their golf swing. That's what's going to take place over this off season. And then when we get back in January, they need to be ready to go.
I think some people don't appreciate how physically taxing walking 18 holes of golf actually is. And I mean, I can't completely attest to it. I can only say in the practice round, walking around, but it was quite an experience.
Yeah, it's not something that you're huffing and puffing, right? You're not. Oh my gosh, I'm just exhausted. But when you put it over the course of 4 days, counting the practice round, and you're carrying your own bag, and you're grinding mentally. That's the thing that wears you out. Usually, if you've played a good round of golf, I would equate it to kind of like a pitcher in baseball. The same feeling that you're so mentally tired from the round that physically it's worn on you too. So you just feel tired from head to toe, and all I think you saw guys were willing to skip dinner, right? They're tired at the end of the day. It's like, do we have to go eat? They would rather just stay in the hotel room and order in. So that's kind of the feeling that you get if you're really putting everything into it. You're going to be worn out at the end of it. And it's competitive golf. It's not going out with your buddies and giving putts or nothing really on the line. It's every time you make a bogey, it wears on you a little bit, and you feel like you got to get shots back, and you're just constantly competing. And so that side of it really takes a lot out of you.
Well, the Aggies are set to begin their spring season at iconic TPC Sawgrass. They'll resume that spring season February 1st and 2nd at the Seabest Invitational. Coach, thanks for coming out.
Thanks so much.
And enjoy this little bit of a break, a little bit of a reprieve that you have. Obviously, always traveling throughout the year to different tournaments. But that is another edition of Higgins Hindsights from the South End Zone of Kyle Field. For our producer, Joe Bill Munoz, and head coach JT Higgins, I'm Jake Kaburski. We'll see you next time from 12th Man Studios.